And this is what the fish sees. The legs coming out, the body, and the tail. Going to be tying my extended foam-bodied Mayfly post-hackle. Buddy just started tying flies. He's getting really good because he's been fly fishing for a long time, but he's never tied his own flies. He's got some interest to this Mayfly, so I said I'll show him how to tie it. And I guess, show the other people out there too. 4mm sheet foam is what I use first. But you don't need 4mm. You really need 2mm, but I like having 4 because you cut it to size to what you want, using size 14 hooks, 18 hooks, you can get a body. So first I cut a little chunk off, just like that, pretty thick. Cut that chunk in half. You have a Mayfly body. Looks a little thick now, but trust me, it won't be. Besides that, a little bit of green dubbing. A size 14 or 12 dry fly hook. Any type of dry fly hackles you want to use, it doesn't really matter. I prefer, I'm using these. I use these for my wet flies, but they work really good for my dry fly hackles. They're really nice green, they have a little black tinge in the middle. They're deadly. But, as I said, any dry fly hackles will work. Lime green, whatever you want. A little bit of this crystal flash for the tail. You wouldn't be using any of this. And for the post, you can use Antron. I generally use calf tail because I've got lots of calf tail kicking around and it floats just as good as Antron. Plus Antron's a synthetic fiber. Bad enough I'm using foam, but I really like foam. It's really durable compared to deer hair and all those other extended body type flies. Use a 6/0 string. I'm using white because I like the way the white looks when it's lining it, right? I don't know, you can use green, black, whatever you want. I prefer the white for this, so a white 6/0. Let's get this tie show on the go.
What's in there?
Let me cut this off, don't really need that. So I was trying to secure this little Mayfly body that I made up here. This is why I use the 6/0. If you're using an 8/0, you're not going to be able to wrap tight like this. So get that body nice and secured in there. Oh yeah. So once you have that body secured, I'm going to deal with these tails. I usually just take a single piece of crystal flash, fold it in half, cut it in half. I'm only going to need one of these. Now I got one of the half pieces. I'm going to fold this in half twice and cut it twice. When I do my Mayflies, I like them to have a 4 tail, and I'll explain to you why once I get to it. Most Mayflies either have 3 or 2 tails. Mine have 4. So I got this crystal flash. I'm going to secure this in the same spot where I just secured the body. Alright, a little crystal flash kicking off the back, and there's your Mayfly. No, I'm just kidding. So now you want to hold the crystal flash tight to the body while you're forming your body. So hold it real tight back here. Now we're going to start making our Mayfly body. So you start wrapping your string up there, trying to make it nice and ribbed, just like a real Mayfly body. I know you're probably looking at the body going, why is it so long? Well, you decide where you are happy with how long it is, and then you cut and trim it. I know it's not wasteful because I usually save all my leftover pieces that are big enough to use. Alright. That's a good size. Now I've wrapped all the way back. You can see it's kind of bulgy there. I'm going to wrap back forward over those, giving it like a little crossed over look. And you want this nice and tight. Weaving back through the body. Alright, so the body's done. Alright, now that the body's done, I go right up here and I trim this off underneath these hairs. There you go. Now that body's like that. See, you have 4 tails. I leave this option because if you see a lot of mayflies coming up, like they don't generally have to be the exact color, but you know, when they're like light green, dark green, if you see 2-tailed mayflies, you have 4 tails here, you just pull them into 2 on one side, pull them into 2 on the other side. Pull them there and separate them, and you have a 2-tailed mayfly. And when you see ones that have 3 tails, you pull the 2 outside ones apart and push the 2 inside ones together. So a lot of options with these, and I love the crystal flash because it looks just like those nice little like wispy hairs on the back of the mayfly. So I'll leave those like that and trim them up later. Alright, wrapping up the body. Now I got to the body, I'm going to put a little bit of dubbing along this. You can use dry fly dubbing. I don't. Since the foam floats so good and you're on a dry fly hook, I generally do not. Don't spend the extra money on a dry fly hackle. Or a dry fly dubbing, I should say.
Okay.
Alright. That's your mayfly body. Done and finished. This is going to also kind of double for like legs and... Oh, is there gill plates? I don't know. These are great for emerger patterns too. If you take the extended body off and just leave the post hackle, amazing for emergers. Alright, I'm going to turn this into our post hackle. I'm going to pull off a little bit. Probably something like this, right? So, I cut that off. I'm going to trim this up here. And I got that. So I want to tie this in right here. Alright. Look at that. Does that look like something? A spent winged mayfly spinner? Yeah. You could hackle that up or call that a fly right now. When mayflies are mating, once they're done mating, they'll fall in the water with their wings wide open like that. And that's when a lot of the really big fish come. Big fish aren't going to be chasing these nice fluffy mayflies dancing on the water. They'll either get them when they're emerging or get them when they're dying. But they definitely, you don't see 8-pound trout flying out of the water trying to eat mayflies. That's a little trout type of thing. So now that I got these like that, I'm going to fold them upwards. I held them up. Now I'm going to build a post out of these. So I hold this. And I start
building the post. And now that I got my post semi-formed, I'm not going to waste too much time. I'm going to try to get one of these feathers in here right away. And she's a real good one.
Alright. So, the way a feather works, usually this is the waterproof side, this is the non-waterproof side. So, the brighter side is your waterproof. I'm going to tie it in with the so that when you spin this hackle around, that's facing down. It's going to reflect more water. Whereas if you put the dull side down, it's going to sink quicker. So I'm going to put this feather right here, and I'm going to start wrapping it into my post.
Oops, look at that.
You guys are probably like, God, your freaking big fingers are blocking everything. Well, what am I supposed to do? Okay, got that like that. Clip off this little bottom piece. Now I want to secure the post because it's kind of wobbling around. That's not really. I like all my flies to be extra strong and extra durable because I like to get more than one trout on a fly. I've got some flies I've seen at least 100 trout. So now you got that nice and secured. I'm going to pull this down and I'm going to start going around this. Alright. Now to try to tie that off, your dry fly hackle up around the head of the hook. Got that. Now I'm going to clean it up and tie it off. By cleaning it up, I mean I'm going to cut some of these excess hairs. In spots where you see that there's a lot of extra thread, like around the head of this hook, I'm going to add a little bit of dubbing, just to cover up that thread. So that's my done fly right there. The post hackle's pretty high, so I like to trim it down a little bit. That's good for me. Now I'm going to tie this fly off. And when I tie it off, I try to hold my hackles out of here. Some people like to just do 1 knot or 2 knots and then put glue on it. Well, I don't know. I don't really like using glue. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm a bit of a hypocrite, but generally I don't like, I don't believe putting super glue and all these contaminants and stuff in the water is somehow good for it. I don't believe that. Alright. That's tied off. Do a little bit of final trimming. Trim these tails. Some nice long tails, I think, for this one. So a lot of the mayflies on the go in my area right now are very big, so check that out. Extended foam-bodied mayfly.